Hey everyone, so today we're going to dive into a story that really offers some incredible guidance and clarity, especially for women in traditional marriages who might be feeling a little lost. You know, that disconnect between the beliefs you hold dear and how you're feeling day to day. It's all about finding your way back to your why when the path you chose starts to feel really, really hard. Let's get into it. The whole story kicks off with this incredibly powerful question. This is what the main character, Sarah, is asking herself. And man, that question, it just cuts right to the heart of that painful internal battle, doesn't it? That feeling that you're somehow messing up the very life you worked so hard to build. All right, so let's meet Sarah. She has the life she always wanted, a traditional marriage with her husband, Daniel. And for years, the structure of that life, with his leadership, brought her a real sense of peace. But lately, something's changed. That peace is gone. And in its place, there's just this growing cloud of confusion and frustration. And this right here is the absolute core of her problem. On the outside, if you looked at her life, you'd think everything was perfect, calm, orderly, just how she planned it. But inside, it's a totally different story. A storm is brewing. The very thing that used to feel like a safe harbor now kind of feels like a cage, and she has no idea why. You can really see that conflict laid out so clearly here. On one side, you've got the ideal, everything she's aiming for, peace, order, a sense of unity. But on the other side, that's the reality of how she feels every day, confused, frustrated, irritated. And it's that gap, that huge chasm between her values and her feelings, that's causing all this quiet turmoil. So how does she start to figure this all out? Well, it's not some big, dramatic lightning bolt moment. It actually starts with something really simple, an honest conversation. Her husband, Daniel, he sees that she's struggling. He asks what's wrong. And just by doing that, he creates this safe space for her to finally say, I'm not okay. And wow, what a raw and vulnerable thing to admit. It takes so much courage to say something like that out loud, especially to the one person it's all wrapped up with. She's not just saying she feels bad. She's admitting that she feels like she is fundamentally failing at one of her core beliefs. And this is the real turning point. You might expect judgment or for him to get defensive, but instead, Daniel just offers her grace. He totally reframes it for her. He's like, you're not failing. You're just human. You're tired. He makes it normal. And that one simple act is the first step toward finding a solution. What's so crucial here is that Daniel doesn't jump in and try to fix her. His leadership in this moment is all about providing stability. He's her anchor in the storm, and he gently suggests a way for her to find her own way back by writing down the reason she chose this life in the first place. And that one suggestion leads us right to the central tool in this whole story, the simple but seriously profound act of writing things down. The idea is that you can take all that chaos swirling around in your head, put it down on a page, and give it structure. And in that process, you find incredible clarity. So this is the list Sarah comes up with. And look at these. Each reason connects her back to something really deep and meaningful. It's not about following rules. It's about wanting unity, feeling safe, honoring her vows, and trusting him. Writing them down makes these big, abstract ideas feel tangible and real again. It reminds her of the beautiful goals behind the choice itself. And Daniel drops this little piece of wisdom that explains exactly why writing this list works so well. It's not about just going through the motions or perfecting your actions. It's all about getting your heart pointed in the right direction again. Because when your why gets blurry, everything else just feels so much harder. This leads to Sarah's big aha moment. She realizes the goal was never to be this perfect, flawless wife who never struggles or has a bad day. The real goal was to live with purpose. And her struggle? It wasn't a sign that she was failing. It was just a signal that she'd lost her connection to that purpose. And you can see that huge mental shift so clearly here. She goes from seeing this core belief as a heavy burden, where she has to be perfect, to seeing it as a choice she makes every day out of love. The pressure to be perfect is gone, replaced by just being willing to try. And that feeling of, I am failing, is replaced by, hey, it's okay, struggle is human. This just drives that message of grace all the way home, right? Having a tough season, feeling overwhelmed, it doesn't cancel out your commitment or who you are. It just means you're a real person, living a real life. So really, it all comes down to purpose. I like thinking of it as the root system of a tree.
The actions are what you see, the branches and leaves, but they can only grow strong and healthy if the root is nourished. When that root, your purpose, is weak, the actions feel forced and joyless. Writing the list is like watering that root.
Okay, so let's talk about the big takeaway here, because the story presents this writing exercise as more than just a one-time fix. It's a practical, sustainable tool that anyone in a similar spot can use as a guide for the long haul.
And Sarah decides to make this a real, lasting habit. She gets a journal specifically for this. By doing that, she creates this permanent thing, this anchor, that she can go back to anytime she starts to feel adrift or disconnected. It becomes her own personal playbook of commitment. And for anyone watching this who's thinking, yeah, that's me, the story gives you a super clear, simple map to follow. It's not some complicated 10-step program. It's just this. Find a quiet spot, take a breath, write down your reasons, and, this is key, be honest and gentle with yourself through the whole thing. I just love the imagery here. That list you create, it becomes so much more than just words on a page. It's your anchor to hold you steady when the emotional waves are trying to pull you off course. And it's your compass, always there to point you back to your true north, that peace you're really looking for.
And that brings us right to the end, with a final question for you to think about. Whether we're talking about a marriage, a career, a faith, any big life choice, taking that time to reconnect with your original reasons can be incredibly powerful. So what reasons would you write down?